Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you happen to be. I'm kind of safely going to guess that we're sort of talking mid to late afternoon for most of you. Thanks very much for taking time out to join us. My name is Les Allen, Level 2, Session 2 of Peachtree Business Intelligence. Advanced Report Writing, Part 2. So we're going to take this a little bit further. Some of the stuff we're building on the stuff that we've talked about previously. You should already all have your documents. If you haven't got your documents yet via email, you should be receiving them inside of the next 60 minutes. I understand there's still a couple of people experiencing delays on the email, so that's not a problem. You will be receiving the documents. If you haven't received them by the end of the day, please let me know and I'll resend them through to you. All right. You already know what's going to happen next. How to participate. I think everybody's still okay with using the GoToWebinar interface. If you do have any questions, please feel free to send them through to me, and I'll try and answer the questions as best I can during the course of the session, but want to make sure that the session flow keeps going, so some of them I might hold back to the end of the session. But again, we are recording it, and we're recording this particular presentation using the standard Windows media format. So from here on in, the videos that you get from us shouldn't require the GoToWebinar codec at all. So you'll be able to pass these around to other people. All right, what are we going to be talking about today? Oh, and of course, we will be sending you the link. At the end of the presentation, actually, I'm going to revisit this particular slide that's coming up. I'm going to give some additional information. We record all of our webinars. As usual, community.alchemex.com/group/alchemex webinars. However, I understand that certain people are having problems getting onto the Peachtree area, and I'll give you an email address to contact at the end of the presentation. If you are having any problems getting through to the Peachtree page itself, you can email this particular person and they will be able to update you, not a problem. All right, so that's the website. You guys have all seen it before. You're all familiar with it. What are we talking about today? Well, we're going to talk about building dashboard reports from scratch. All right, now, dashboard reports, I'm going to go into more detail as to what makes a dashboard. How is a dashboard different to a standard report? I'm going to go through a lot of those details. Then we're going to take a look at aggregations. That's changing the information. Well, it's not really changing the information. It's being selective about what information you're going to be pulling through to your report. In a very short sentence, it's totaling the information even before it gets to Excel. All right. Then we're going to take a look at union reports, understanding what a union report is and creating union reports. I talk about the golden rule a lot during training as far as the report manager module is concerned, and the golden rule is that every standard report uses a container. And I have to be very specific there because we're talking standard reports. There is, of course, a different type of report, and that's a union report. We've touched on them lightly in previous sessions, but today we're going to show you exactly how union reports work. So all of this is going to start stacking. Union reports, very good to understand them if you want to start moving into really, really good dashboard type reports. All right, so what we're going to kick off firstly with is a dashboard report. I'm going to explain what dashboard reports are and then start you on your way to making them. So what I'm going to do is swing into my report manager module. I'm going to let everybody's screens update now. One of the standard reports that you do get as far as PBI is concerned is a dashboard report. So what is a dashboard? Think about the dashboard in your car. What does it tell you? And please don't respond with, it tells me what radio station I'm listening to. That's not the dash I'm referring to. The dashboard that I'm referring to is the one directly behind the steering wheel, telling you how much petrol you do or don't have, how fast you may not be going, how fast you should be going, etc. Then things like the revs, maybe a tripometer, how far you've actually traveled in this. Jennifer, I see you're a little trouble with the login. Not sure what particular type of login you're talking about. So if you can give me some more details, I'll see if I can help. A dashboard, in effect, gives you information at a glance that you don't have to go digging for. Now, during the course of these particular sessions, when we've been creating standard reports, we've taken one report, we've used one container, and we've created information around, we've created reports, around the information coming out from that specific container. Dashboard reports don't work that way. Let me run this dashboard report out, and we'll start taking a look at what the dashboard report actually gives me. My fiscal year 2011, again, these are all going to be, all these steps that I'm going through are all going to be recorded. Okay, so not really worried about screen updates right now. Let's take a look at January for my dashboard report and see what information I get. Now, one thing I'll point out while the screens are refreshing is that the icon for the dashboard analysis report, it's a green icon. It's not a blue icon. Standard reports are blue. If you see an icon that's blue, it means this report is pulling just from one container. Now, a report can only ever pull from one container at a time. However, union reports, and we'll talk about them more towards the end of the session, a union report is where I start combining multiple reports together. So let's take a look at this particular report in a little bit more detail. Now, this is a standard report that we give you. When it comes to talking to the customers about what this PBI product can do for you, if you run this report and say, if you buy this module, you get a report that shows you your profit and loss information for that particular month, plus year to date, plus variances against budget, plus your top 5 expenses, plus your top 5 customers, your top 5 products, your bottom 5 products, your top 5 customer groups, and it gives it to you in a layout that's really easy to read. How many people wouldn't want a report like this? So the dashboard report, and I'll tell you up front, the dashboard report is the second report that we run in our standard sales demonstration. The first one is the financial report, show how easy it is to do your financials. Second one is dashboards. Now we can start bringing in information from different areas of the system. So the point that I would like to make now, I have P&L information next to expenses information. Sure, okay, they're both general ledger related. They're both financial related. Top 5 customers is not related to finance. So how do I get a report that's combining information from different areas of the system that I couldn't get inside of a container? That's a dashboard. A dashboard report as opposed to a standard report. If you think about a standard report, run an income statement out of Peachtree. Just run the standard income statement and tell me how profitable the company is. Now, some of you may have more of an accounting background than others, but I would imagine that there would be at least 2 separate answers as to what you would look for when it came to this company being a good investment or a good option to purchase. Some of you would say, well, I would look at expenses. Some of you would say, I would look at gross profit. Some of you would say, I would look at total sales, a combination of things. Now, that is a standard report. A standard report in reporting terms, not in PBI terms. A standard report gives you facts. It gives you information, but you have to go and dig. There are no predefined conclusions when it comes to a standard report. The report gives you the information and it says, there you go. You now have to determine, what is this information telling you? Dashboard reports don't work that way. Dashboard reports, in short, answer questions. They're not very high on detail, but they do answer questions for you. So a question like, who are my top 5 customers? Now, if I was to run just a sales report out of Peachtree, that report couldn't tell me that. I would need to put it into Excel, reorganize my information to then answer a question. Dashboards can do that. Dashboards come with preconceived ideas. They answer questions for you. So, dashboard reports. Mitchell sent through a look at return on equity and weighted average capital cost. See, now that's fantastic. Mitchell's just sent through what he would look at as far as whether the company is in a better financial shape or not. He'd look at equity, weighted averages on capital costs. Now, If that's an indicator that Mitchell likes, Mitchell could create a report that pulls through equity information and presents it in a chart format. Now, if he sells that to each of his customers saying, explaining what this report does, this report shows you how good fiscally your company is. He could resell that same report to multiple customers because he's giving the information that he views as important and that the customer would view as important in a very, very easy to read format. If you structure it here with charts, etc., it makes it very easy to understand and answer questions. That's what dashboards do. Dashboards are designed to answer questions immediately, and they're designed to be at your fingertips so you don't have to go digging for that information. An important point about dashboards, though, is that dashboards tend to be very, very light on detail. Let's take a look at Holland Properties. I'm just going to highlight the row there. So I've highlighted cells C23 through to F23. Holland Properties, as at the time I ran this report, was my top customer. Almost $28,000 in sales. Okay, there's an issue there as far as the percentage is concerned of my overall sales, etc. Now, what details make up that particular amount? What that 28,000, is that on one invoice? Is that on multiple invoices? A dashboard will not tell me that because a dashboard just answers the question. It brings the information through that I need and answers the question. That's it. So when it comes to what sort of report does a company want to see, do they want to see something that's high on detail? But if they go that way, they're going to have to do their own inference. They're going to have to do their own conclusion as to what this report is telling me. If you go the dashboard route, dashboards answer questions for you. All right. Let me show you how you can do a very, very basic dashboard. Now, a lot of stuff to get through in this particular session, and you'll get what I'm doing with dashboards very, very easily. So I'm not going to worry too much about lots of screen refreshes. As I said, you can check the video on this to see exactly what I do. But basically, I'm going to create a report, and then I'm going to ask that report to show for me top 5 customers, top 5 products, top salespeople. That's it. And I'm going to do it very quickly. So as I go through it, I want to talk more about the theory behind dashboards, and this is the thing that you should be doing when it comes to designing your reports, your dashboard methodology. Okay, so very sent through, you can create a normal report and then a dashboard report to be the graphic for the normal report. Absolutely, that's fantastic. Remember, you can have as many sheets as you like in an Excel workbook. Now, there are going to be people inside a company that want to see numbers. They want to see the details. Give it to them. That's fine. But there's nothing stopping you adding another sheet that charts that information and makes it very, very easy to read. And I don't mean to poke fun. I am an ex-sales guy as well. So the sales guys, not high on the detail. Just show me the number. How far away from target am I? How did I exceed target? What are we doing that way? Finance tends to like the details. Sales tends to like the showy, the flashy, the graphics. Makes it easy to read. Okay, so Mary, absolutely. You can create reports that actually cover multiple facets of this. Give me the detail, but also answer my questions. All right. So what I'm going to do, let me add a folder, and I'm going to call it Les, because I'm not being very imaginative. I'm going to add a standard report, and I'm going to call it My Dashboard. And this is an important point. The dashboard that we give you is a union report because it's combining multiple pieces of information. It's combining information from the general ledger, it's combining information from sales, etc. So it's combining multiple sources. But I can create a dashboard report that just looks at one set of data in multiple ways, and that's what I'm going to do here. There's my sales analysis container. Okay, I'm going to take that and bring all that information through. Then we're going to do some dashboard wizardry. Okay, give me everything. I'm not going to worry about parameters, filters, etc. I just want to get my information in. You'll go through that process once you determine what information is needed. So here is my first step. I'm going to run my report out. And again, I'm going to reiterate something that I may have mentioned before. You all have certain customers where your first 15 minutes of billing is sitting down, having a cup of joe, talking about the football, talking about the kids, talking about what's happening in the world. You all have customers where you have that sort of relationship. And this would be my suggestion. If you want to start getting into report writing, here's a very, very good way to go about it. Pick one of those customers and go to them and say, right, this PBI thing, you and I could have a lot of fun with this. I want to start making more reports. I want to see what I can do with it. What I want you to do as a customer, as a business owner, I want you to help me build this thing. Show me what you would like to see. And you know what? At the end of it, I'll give you this report. Great. Gratis. Don't have to worry about anything. I just want to work with you. Show me the things that you would like to see. Now, you all have good handles on their businesses. You probably know their businesses better than they do. But sometimes they're going to want to think about, now, I'd rather see my information this way. At the end of it, you've got a happy client who's now got a report that's effectively custom-made for them. But you now have a report that you can sell to other customers. It's called enlightened self-interest. You're doing something nice for somebody, but now you have a resource that you can start reselling. So your first step when you talk to this customer is, well, what are your metrics? What do you want to record? Now, we've got a dashboard report that does show you certain things, but you can, just to get the feel for this, you can start doing this from scratch, and it's not a problem. So what do you want to see? Determine your metrics first. What do you want to measure? What do you want to show? Then make sure you can get that information into Excel. So I'm going to make a straight pivot table on an existing worksheet. I'm going to put it onto sheet 3. And again, I'm not worried about too much about screen updates at this point. I just want to show how we get our information. So company name. That's not going to help me at all. Customer name. That'll help me. Okay. I want to see top 10 customers. So I've created a pivot table. First field I've dragged in is my customer name. Now, what else do I want to see? What do I want to see? Do I want to see my customers by quantity? Do I want to see my customers by gross profit? Who are my most profitable customers? And that's something that would really be good for a lot of people. The dashboard report that we give you doesn't show that. It just tells you total sales and the percentage of sales overall against everything else. But who are your most profitable? Sure, I've got a customer as far as sales is concerned that's absolutely massive, but they're always buying the low GP items. So it's not really that profitable. So I can have top 10 customers by gross profit sitting alongside top 10 customers by total sale value. Let's work on that. Actually, yeah, let's do things on the fly. That's okay. Standard Excel functionality right now with my pivot table, which you all should have access to the videos and been able to review. I'm going to filter my row labels. My row. I'm going to ask top 10 by the sum of gross profit. That's what I would like to see. I'd like to see top 10 customers by gross profit amount. When I click OK, my pivot table will be filtered to just show me those. Pivot tables are actually a very, very good utility when it comes to creating dashboards because they do these representations very easily for you. So there's my top 10. Now it's not sorted. I can do sorting as well if I want to, but I'm not going to focus on that. Right now I'm going to add a pivot chart. There it is. It's very hard to... Okay, sorry, I just got a message from Mary that she's lost audio. Can't tell if someone can't hear. Okay, great. Thanks, Mary. All right, good to have you back. Okay, so what I've done is I've just created a chart off my pivot table. Let me do a bit of formatting, make it look pretty. I think that's green. I don't know anymore. I'm just a guy. It could be fawn or something. I don't know. But I've now made a chart. Here's how you start making dashboards. I've got my chart there. Dashboards are visual representations that answer questions. I'm going to make a new sheet in my workbook. Thank you, thank you, Jennifer. Jennifer's just advised me that the color is technically lime. Thank you. I found out what cerise was today. I'm very proud. View, grid lines. Get rid of my grid lines, select my sheet, and I'm going to fill everything. Let's do it with a lime-ish color, I guess. I don't know. So screen's updated. All I've done is I've added a new sheet to my workbook, removed the grid lines, colored it green. That's it. So when you start creating a report for a customer, start using their color schemes. So it's very simple. Now I go back to sheet 3, and I'm going to cut that chart and paste it on my new worksheet. Very simple. Right-click, cut, paste, move my pivot table. I'm going to edit my heading, top 10 by GP. By gross profit, actually, yeah, by gross profit amount. And I'll remove hide all the field buttons, and there we go. So again, I'm not too worried about screen updates. You'll be able to see everything that I've done by reviewing the video. That's my first chart. Now I'm building a dashboard. What is my second one? I'd like to see top 10 by the actual total amounts. Very easy to do. Now, some of you may go back to the raw data and start the whole process of creating another pivot table. Don't do that. Come back and copy your pivot table. All I've done is moved back to sheet 3. I've highlighted columns A and B, Control C, and I'm going to paste them into columns D and E. I now have a brand new pivot table. It's that simple. It's completely separate from the original, so it's listed as a different pivot table, and I can do whatever I like to this, and it won't affect that chart. So let me change this to, actually, you know what? Rather than customer, let's go for product. So maybe item description. Excellent. Value filters, top 10. There we go. When you review the video, you'll see how quickly I just created a brand new pivot table, copied the original, pasted, changed it to invoice, applied a top 10 filter. You can make it top 20, you can make it top 30, top 15. If somebody really likes the number 12, make it 12. It's entirely up to you. But now, same process. I'm going to do a pivot chart this time. Everybody loves 3D exploded pie. All right, so when your screens update, you'll see that I've added an exploded pie chart. Jennifer sent through, should we change the title of row labels to item description? You can if you want, but the idea here is that people won't be looking at your pivot tables. People will be looking at your charts. So you can change the chart name. So that's top 10 products by GP amount. So now people really shouldn't be coming here looking at these things. You're making something very nice for them on another sheet. Stay there. Do not look behind the curtain. Ignore the old man, that sort of thing. So if you want to, it's entirely up to you, but you could also just make a heading up here above the pivot table saying what this pivot table does. That this one's designed to do top 10 products. It's entirely up to you how you want to do it. But the point is, people really shouldn't be playing with this sheet. So let me cut my chart, and I'm going to put it here and change my percentages and change the color scheme. Hide all the field buttons, and done. Now, think about that. How that took you, well, it took me a couple of minutes, really, apart from all of the talking that I was doing, to create two pivot tables that filter the information, the same set of information, filter it in different ways, and now I've created two separate charts. That's all that dashboard report is. When you've got some time, run the dashboard analysis report that we give you and just see where all of the information runs from. You'll see your profit and loss information, but if you select any of the cells, you'll actually see that information is coming from other sheets in the workbook. So it doesn't matter how many sheets you use in the back to reorganize your information and get the information you want. As long as you put a pretty wrapper around it, people generally don't care, and you can hide those sheets away. So now I'd like you to, in your own minds, take another step. Okay. Mark sent through, will the charts refresh with the current data each time you run it? Yes, they will. The two pivot tables that were set up were told to look at raw data, always. So every time you run the report, new information will come through according to your parameters and filters. Your pivot tables will then update. Your charts are a visual reflection of your pivot tables. That dashboard analysis report, when you go and check the top 5 customers, top 5 products, etc., 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 top 5 expenses, you'll actually find they're all reading from a sheet called chart data. And on that sheet, there are about 6 pivot tables. They're very ugly. They're just sitting there. But they're doing the analysis. They're doing the grunt work. And all we do is reference those particular cells into another sheet that makes it look nice. So yes, absolutely, Mark, these will definitely update every time you run. So think about this. You create a dashboard report for somebody where you're targeting all of the parts of this person's business. And you can say to them, you could run this every hour. So you can see up to date exactly what's happening at each and every step of your business. I could go on doing more demonstrations, etc., but I want to talk about aggregates and I want to talk about union reports. Now, union reports, when we get there, we can talk about combining a financial report with a sales report. Absolutely, very easy to do, because our dashboard analysis report shows you that it's financial information sitting alongside sales information. All right. Any questions on dashboards? Feel free to throw them through. Wow, alliteration. Throw them through in the chat window to me. I'm going to move on to aggregation, so I'll handle any dashboard questions at the end of the session. But now, at this point, I can do my create and link template back, which I'll do quickly. Right-click, create and link template to my book. Excel 2007, that's fine, yes. Okay, when your screen updates, you'll see that everything's going to, all the raw data is going to be removed and then linked. And again, please review the video, but what I'm going to do now is go into design mode to answer Mark's question a little bit better. When your screens update, you'll see that I'm looking at an empty workbook. The structures of the workbook remain. So the pivot tables that I set up on sheet 3 remain. The charts remain. Let's have a look at those 2 pivot tables. When the pivot tables update, my charts will update. My pivot tables will update next time I run the report. All right. Cool. Any other questions? Like I said, feel free to send them through. Let's now talk about aggregates. Okay. I'm going to add a sales report very quickly. And I'm going to use, I'm not familiar with the bellwether data, so I'm going to use our demonstration data because I can very easily replicate, I can very easily demonstrate how aggregates work. I'm going to call my report aggregate demo. Okay. And once you get the concepts here, you'll be able to do exactly the same thing on your Peachtree data for anybody. So let's, actually, no, I can't. Oh, I don't have the database here, so that's not fun. So I'm actually going to have to do it on sales analysis data. Let's do some tap dancing. Excellent. Sales analysis. I would like to see my customer name, my product name, so my item description. Actually, I can do it with gross profit. That should be fine. Okay, so all I'm going to do is add 3 fields here. Customer name, item description, and the gross profit I made on that particular product. First thing that I'm going to do is add a sort field, just so I can demonstrate to you exactly what's happening. So I'm going to sort first by customer name, and then by the description. And I'm going to leave it there at that point. Okay. So just to recap, I've created a report using the standard sales analysis container. Okay. Isaac Sensory may have covered this previously, but is Sage BI compatible with Office 2010? Isaac, I'm demonstrating on 2010. So yes, it does. Absolutely no problems. And in fact, I'd encourage everybody, move to 2010. If you're going to be at Summit this year, I will be there. I will be doing some Peachtree trading, and I'll be doing some Excel for Power user sessions. So I'll be showing you the really cool things that you can do with Office 2010. So if you're going to come through to Summit, please make sure you come around and say hi, because I'd like to put faces to names. So there's my aggregate demo. I'm sorting by customer name, and I'm sorting by item description. Okay. I'm now going to run this report. There's no other filters, there's no other parameters, so I'm just pulling through all of the raw data. Okay. So there's my customer name, gross profit, and description. Actually, I think I might want to put where there is actually a gross profit down. That would really be better. So I'm going to put a filter down to give me everything where a gross profit is greater than 0. Okay. So I'm getting my raw data. Now let's do some slight changes here. Gross profit to the end, filter, add where gross profit is greater than 0. When I rerun the report, then I'll give it a pause and I'll show you exactly what's happening as far as report information is concerned. Okay. Excellent. That's worked out quite nicely for me. Oh, and that as well. Wow, people like prefabricated birdhouses. Not my thing, but okay. What you see on your screen is I've highlighted a couple of item descriptions that have repeated for that customer. So you'll see that Aldred Builders made 2 purchases of pine bark mulch. Okay. $419, $838. Now, if you wanted to say total sales by customer by product, there's no need to bring through every single transaction here. Okay. We can apply what's called an aggregation. Now, aggregations and union reports, you can start combining these together to make really, really good dashboards that answer your questions, such as totals, counts, sums, those sorts of things. Here's what happens when you apply. Let me just actually make them lime in color. Lime in color, but I'm going to use it to highlight what I'm about to do, the difference that's going to happen when I next apply an aggregate to this report. So when your screen updates, you'll see that I'm back at my report, and I've gone to the Columns tab. I've expanded the name field so you can see it's customer name, item description, gross profit. You'll also see that there's a column there, aggregate function. I'm going to right-click on gross profit, and I'm going to select apply aggregate. What aggregation would I like? Now, in a previous training session, I had somebody try to take me to task as to why would you want to bring the same information into a report multiple times? Well, same reason you would want to see it represented in a pivot table multiple times. If I brought gross profit through, I could have gross profit summing together to give me totals, but then I could also add it to give me a count. I could also add it to give me an average. So I can now see my gross profit information in multiple ways. Right now, I'm just going to say, please sum my information. What this will do is it will look through every customer name and every item description, and it will combine all of the lines where that information is the same. So the lines that I highlighted with Aldred Buildings, there were 2 transactions for the same product. They'll be combined into one. Same with the prefabricated birdhouses. Why am I choosing words that are really difficult to say at 9:30 at night? Prefab birdhouses, they'll be combined into one line. Let me rerun the report. And we'll see what the effect is on this raw data. There we go, and there we go. Okay. When your screens update, you'll see that the information has now been grouped together. Prefab birdhouses have been combined to one amount. Pine bark mulch has been combined to one amount. Here's where you can start getting reports that run faster. If you apply an aggregate to a report, it's effectively telling the SQL query to sum all of this together, to do that totaling. That happens much faster on the Excel side than, on the SQL side than it ever would on the Excel side. So your reports will be faster. It's a common objection as far as an Excel-powered business intelligence reporting tool is concerned. But you've only got X number of rows. Well, sure, 2003 had 65,536. Now we're dealing with over 1 million. So that's one thing. But part two is, what information do you want to see? If you want to see your customer totals per month, then just do an aggregation, where it will combine it together and give you one line per customer. You don't have to bring through all of the transactions and then do your totaling. So make sure you're accurate as far as what the customer would like to see in their report or what you would like to see in your report. Make sure that you can bring that information through, and then you can start looking at it in different ways. Let me show you. We've got gross profit. So I've got a combined gross profit of $1,257 and just over $4,400 for my prefab birdhouses. So let me close that off, and we'll go back to the old report so you can see all of the lines that I highlighted. They've all been condensed together. Actually, I think there are more prefab birdhouses further down, but you get the point. So what I'm going to do is move back to my Report Manager module, and I'm going to add gross profit again. So when your screen updates, you'll actually see that I've got gross profit there twice. My gross profit this time, I want to count the number of times this has happened. When it comes to aggregations, you're looking at one line, and that's it. So when I look at an amount of 4,400, how many transactions went into that 4,400? I've got a transaction line for Aldred of just over 1,200, almost 1,300, I think. But how many transactions was that? Was that lots of little ones? Was that a couple of big ones put together? Show me. Well, bring through gross profit and count it. Now, you'll see when you review the video that I've double-clicked on the actual report itself, and then I double-clicked on columns. You'll see customer name, item description, gross profit there. Now I'm going to change the name here to gross profit average. So that's the name of the column. When I run the report, I can see what each of these aggregations is supposed to be doing. What's going on here? Why is it pulling through? Oh, there we go. That's the reason. Let me highlight those. Okay. All right, so when your screens update, you'll see that the count has come through for gross profit too. Okay. So for description purposes in your report, you can see exactly what the gross profit's supposed to be showing. Here, if you wanted to, you could go back to the container and actually copy the gross profit and rename it there if you wanted to do count functions, but it's much easier to do it here. So there I can see that, yes, there were $1,257 in 2 transactions. Prefab birdhouses, $4,400 in 8 transactions. So there is a sense for bringing through the same information multiple times. You can do this, and there's some of the reports that we do where we use aggregations. When it comes to an aggregation, okay, it's going to look at the amount of information coming through and break things up where there is even the slightest difference. So right now I've only got 2 levels of grouping. I've got customer name, item description. That's it. If they're the same, then add them together. The more information you bring in, the less it's going to work for you. Think about this. You bring in customer name, you bring in item description, you bring in date. Now, prefabricated birdhouses, those weren't all bought on the same date. Well, they may have, but I think it would have been highly unlikely. Now, for every time the prefab birdhouse sale for Arches has a different date, you're now going to get an additional line. So just bear that in mind. How much information you're bringing through can make the report unnecessarily complicated to the point that an aggregation actually doesn't really work for you. You might as well just left everything off and done a raw data dump. Okay. I hope that helps clarify exactly what aggregations do. And it's these sorts of things that we use to get around Excel's row limitations. Plus, it makes for a speedier report and a cleaner report. You're not bringing lots of information through that then has to be reworked inside of pivot tables, etc., etc. Aggregations are very, very good. So, one last point that I'm going to talk as far as aggregations are concerned. The very last tab, aggregate filters. Now that I've done an aggregation, okay, I would like to see all transactions by customer by product where the total sale of those is over 2,000. Easy enough to do because I've done an aggregation now, so it's going to total all of that information. So let's add an aggregation against my gross profit. Only show me, now that you've aggregated everything, only show me everything where the total amount is greater than or equal to $2,000. So think about this. You can have aggregations apply with aggregate filters down, copy this report, paste it, change the aggregate filter. So you can start drilling down on information. You can really start narrowing down on what's happening. I've done this as a sales example, but think about it from an accounts aspect. Show me all transactions where the total transaction amount to that particular account was over $1,000 for the month. Think about expenses. Show me all of the expense accounts where combined transactions for a given month or a given year exceeded $10,000. And this is the bit that I enjoy most about my job and I enjoy most about business intelligence, looking at different ways to see the information. Wouldn't that be great? Wouldn't it be great to say, well, those particular expense accounts for these particular departments, you only ever want to see a report where maybe the expenses are over $1,000 for the month. And if you bring in those amounts and then do a count on them, you can see how many transactions make up that total expense amount. You can really have a lot of fun with this. By default, my aggregate filter will try to go to count. I'm just going to make it a sum. And you'll be able to see that when your screens update, and you'll be able to review the video to see exactly how I did that. Gross profit, where the sum total of gross profit is greater than or equal to 2,000. Now let's run the report. So think about exception reportings. Show me all of my sales reps where the credit notes are over $500 a month. That sort of thing. Now, you'll see that my prefab house for the birds is now all the way up at the top of the list. A lot of those combined transactions have been removed. There's another one for Armstrong Landscaping. There we go. Just a final reminder, when it comes to your aggregations, the more information you bring through into that report, the more possibility you have for differences that will now start breaking up your consolidation, your aggregation. All right. So that is aggregations. An aggregate filter works exactly the same way as a normal filter. However, it works best when applied to an aggregation. So totaling up information from any area of the system, that's fine. Okay. Now apply a filter to the aggregation. So apply an aggregate to your column, then apply an aggregate filter. You can still apply filters and parameters, so like only for particular sales regions or for particular accounts or something along those lines. So filters and parameters still work, but the aggregate filter applies on the totaled information that's now coming through. All right. Any questions about aggregations? Feel free to send through messages. But I've now got 15 minutes to talk about something that's really, really powerful, and that is union reports. Okay. So all of the things that we've been doing as far as creating reports have all been stacking. Dashboards. Let's go and have a look at that dashboard report again. Let me close off all of these Excel files. Okay, and just a reminder, when you review the video, you can do everything that I've done. Follow the steps exactly, and you'll be able to work actively with a report that's giving you an aggregation. Let's run this dashboard analysis report again, and I'd like to show up. Actually, we can do it. Here's a good point right now. While your screen's refreshed and I'm adding in date information, what I'd like you to do is take a look at the heading of this particular dialog box. The heading itself says Dashboard Sales Sub 1-0. Now, if I select my dashboard analysis report and I have a look at the Properties tab, well, I see the Properties tab and I see the Union Subreports tab, but this report doesn't have the option to provide a parameter, which is what this is. I can't apply a filter or a parameter or an aggregate or a sort to my union report. The reason is a union report combines multiple standard reports together. On the standard report, I can add a filter, I can add a parameter. So what happens when you run a dashboard is that each of the reports will run in order, and if they request information, they'll pop up and ask. A union report simply says, you will execute all of those reports in sequence. Thank you. And they'll all go into the one Excel workbook. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let the report run, okay, and I'm going to show you that there are multiple worksheets here, all of them bringing through different information. Then I'm going to copy my dashboard report so I can actually show you how it's made up, what goes into making a union report. Yeah, what goes into making a union report. The Excel report's almost run out. And the key thing here is to look at how many sheets you actually have in this workbook. So what I've done is I've right-clicked on the sheet and I've said unhide, and I've left that dialog box open. One of the advanced options that you have in a report is to be able to hide source data. Dashboard itself represents financial profit and loss, top 5 expenses, top 5 customers, items, etc. Those are the 3 sheets that actually pull through the raw data. So when you see the sheets periods, date lookup, chart data, they're all sitting there reworking the information from my sales data, from financial data, and financials group data. Excel workbooks can have multiple sheets. There's nothing wrong with having multiple reports coming into one Excel file, but all landing on different sheets. Here's how it works. I'm going to quickly copy my dashboard analysis and paste it. Okay. Actually, I didn't need to do that. The report was already unlocked. Okay. So when your screen updates, you'll see that I've selected the copy of dashboard analysis report, and I've selected that union subreports tab. So my dashboard sales report, that was the one that asked me for my date information. That's going to sheet 1. Then I have a second report, dashboard financial group subreport, that's going to sheet 4, and dashboard financials is running to sheet 3. I'll address the point now. Reports run upwards. So dashboard sales report will be the first to run. Then financial group sub. Then financial account sub. But you can change this order and I'll show you how to do it. Okay. So how do you make a union report? Well, a union report is very, very easy. I'm going to right-click on my folder, add a report, and I'm going to select Union Report. Now, the process for creating a standard report is add a report, give it a name, choose the container you would like to use, select your fields, click OK. Then you can go in and add filters, parameters, etc. But the add report process is just give the report a name, select the container, select your field. So it's 3 steps. Here, I'm going to create a union report. First, I have to give it a name. Unimaginatively, my union report. But instead of asking which container I would like to use and then which fields, it says, which reports would you like to combine together? Here's how you create really good dashboards that look at different areas of the system. You need a report that shows you top 5 expenses. Well, you create a report looking at your general ledger accounts, filter it, maybe by using aggregates, something along those lines. You create that report, great. Now you create a sales report, just like I did with my dashboard, where I've got all the information coming through, great. Now I say, please combine my dashboard with my aggregate demo report. You just get to select which reports you would like. There is no point in unioning union reports. Why would you even bother? A union report is multiple sub-reports. That union report over there is multiple sub-reports. Well, you just put them all in one union report. You don't union unions. But you now know that Excel can have as many sheets effectively as you like, so you can go as nuts with this as you like. You start moving into the connector module, which is level 3. Start moving into the connector. Connect to your Sage CRM database, maybe to your HR database. From there, you can create a CRM report or a HR report, or both, if you like. So now they're reports that will exist in your report manager. You've just created a financial report. You've created a sales report. So you have 4 reports. I create one union, and I tell my union report which, let's take that and my dashboard sales. Yeah, I'm going to select 4. I'm going to click OK. My union report. Right now I'm in a spot of bother. When your screens update, you'll see that I've got all 4 of my reports. That's great. I do have the option to move up, move down, so I can change the order in which they run if I so desire. But they're all currently going to sheet 1. What will happen? My dashboard will run. So all of the fields that I need for my dashboard will run through. Then General Ledger Transactions by Account will run, and it will dump the information directly underneath the My Dashboard information. Regardless of columns, it'll just dump it. Same thing for the Dashboard Sales sub. It will then, at the bottom of my GL Transactions information, dump its information. So that doesn't work. I need to put each of these to a different sheet. Here's how you do it. You double-click on the report itself. You then double-click on the Union Sub-Reports option, and you'll see all 4 of the reports listed there on the left-hand side. I can tell General Ledger Transactions, I select it. When your screen updates, you'll see on the right-hand side that I've got my output sheet number. Please tell it to go to sheet 2. And again, you'll be able to review the videos. Dashboards is going to go to 3. Aggregates is going to go to 4. I actually have a problem now. What lives on sheet 2? It's rhetorical. You're going to type it, I know. What lives on sheet 2? Your parameters. So if I send GL transactions to that, that's a problem. Union sub-reports. The union report itself does not care about the template that the sub-report might use. So even though my dashboard, I've created a very nice template with a couple of charts there, it's not going to use it. It's going to simply just run the report and get the raw data. That's it. And there's a very easy reason for that. There's a very simple reason for that. Why would you want to use the template of something where I'm now combining other reports together to make a new report? It needs to have its own template. So let me send union subreports to sheet 5. So when your screen updates, you can see I've got my 4 reports and they're all going to go to different sheets. And again, this is how we do our dashboard analysis report. We have one report that comes through with sales information, one report with financial information, another report with financials. We then rework that information to make really nice charts up front. But there's a lot of grunt work happening in the background. People don't need to see that though. If I run my report, so I've selected my union report and I've asked it to run. When you review the video, my dashboard runs. Now my general ledger transaction comes up. So please drill down by specific detail. So I could select 2001 and I could select period 1 and I could select for that specific account. Great. My GL transactions report runs. Now when your screen updates, you'll see that I've got my dashboard report. So if you want to create very good union reports, you need to be very thorough with your sub-reports because that's where it's pulling all your information from. Let's do January 1st. That's fine. I'm not really worried about the information that's going to come out. It's the principle, it's the demonstration principle that I'm more concerned with. Now, when the report has been run out, when your screens update, you'll see that I've now got a workbook that has 5 sheets. By default, Excel will create a new document with 3 sheets. But if you tell this report, I need 10, I've got these 10 sub-reports and they're all going to generate, Excel will add the sheets for you. You can then add additional sheets to create your nice dashboards, create and link backwards. So you don't have to set up a template first with 10 sheets to accommodate all of the information you're bringing in. If it doesn't have a template, that's fine. It'll just generate the sheets that it needs. All right. So I'm just doing a quick click through, and you'll be able to review it on the video. Sheet 5 has information. That's my general ledger drill down information. I have sheet 4 information, which was my aggregation information. And you actually see that the aggregation has still applied when your screen updates. So there's my arches, scapes, and ponds, prefabricated birdhouse, 4,400. So that sub-report with the aggregations applies. All of the features of the sub-reports will still kick in. Sheet 3 was the sales analysis report, I believe. Okay. Union reports are actually quite simple because it's just a case of add a union report and select the reports you want to be combined together. Now that they're all in, make it pretty. Do what you need to do to reference across these sheets. That's where your VLOOKUP, your indexing and matching comes in. I hope you all reviewed the Excel presentations that we did. They're still recorded and available for download. This is where things like indexing and matching and VLOOKUP come in, because you can start referencing across these sheets. Hide all of this away and make a really nice page up front, consolidating all of the information that a customer will need to look at in one shot. That's how you create a dashboard. All right. I do apologize if this did seem a little rushed. There was a lot of information to get through. Wrapping up, that website that's coming up on your screen now, community.alchemix.com/group/Peachtree Business Intelligence, is the actual sheet. The very first hyperlink on that sheet will take you to the page where all of the recorded sessions are. If you have joined the community and you cannot access it, email that person, ruthg@alchemix.com, and she will make sure that you're added and have access to the Peachtree Business Intelligence group, and then you can download the videos. All right. So that's pretty much wrapped up to the top of the hour. I will stick around for 5 minutes in case there are any other questions that may come through. Tammy sent through. Don't seem to have the class materials for level 1, session 2. I will do that for you. All right. Not a problem, Tammy. I'll send it through. I did download the session from PBI website, but I was looking for the course materials. Yeah, Tammy, not a problem. I'll send it through for you. That's fine. All right. So, if there are any other questions, you're free to head on your way and enjoy what's left of your Wednesdays. Thank you again for taking time out. I hope you got some value out of this one as well. Oh, just a quick reminder. All of the things that we talked about as far as advanced report options are concerned, like automatically emailing, automatically saving, those sorts of things, they still apply to union reports. So if you want union reports to be distributed, that's all fine. They all still work. Everything that we've done has been stacking up to a point where you can just combine everything that we do here to create really, really nice reports. All right. Yes, Jennifer sent through. We are off next week. That is because I am overseas doing some training, some very important training. So yeah, I won't see you next week, but we'll be back the following week, which I believe is April 30th, I think, is when we're next running the session. Yes, but you'll receive details on that. I think you all should be registered for it anyway. All right. So guys, again, thank you very much for the time. I'm going to now start spending some time converting this video to Windows Media format, and then make sure that's updated for everybody on the website. Frederick sent through. How are you doing, Frederick? Oh, by the way, Frederick, your email, the email address you registered with, every time we try to email to it, it bombs. So I've had to keep using that alternate email address. The only reason I mention it is because I'm concerned you might be losing emails from other people. So you might want to have a look at that. How many sets of files should we have? You have 3, 1 lesson 1. Okay, there should be a lesson 1, session 1, lesson 1, session 2. Then there is level 2, session 1, and there will be this one, level 2, session 2. So it looks like, Frederick, that you're missing out on one. I'll make sure that I email that through to you. So you'll be fine. Inside of the lesson, there'll be multiple exercises. So there are certain topics. That's where the individual lesson numbers come from. But it'll be, yeah. Frederick, that second email address, the AOL one, I'm fine with that one. But whenever I send something through to that at att.net email address, it bombs. So just concerned you might want to double check on that one. All right, so Frederick, I'll make sure that I send through lesson 1, session 1, and you should be up to date with all the docs. All right. So thank you again, everybody, for your time. I appreciate it. Hope you found some value with that. Any questions, feel free to email me. All right, Frederick, I'll send through a complete set of everything that we've done up to date. Not a problem. All right. Thank you again, guys. And girls, non-specific gender people, damn it. Please enjoy the rest of your Wednesdays, and I'll see you in a couple of weeks. Thanks very much. Enjoy the rest of your Wednesdays.